what do I want in a coach, right? I want somebody that I can like be inspired by or aspire to be like or look up to, or I want to try to emulate what they have going on, their success. I want to like take in their qualities or their traits, right? I want to be around them. I feel like I'm elevated when I'm around them.
Arteaga drives one to center. Miller hustling over. Diving catch by Ian Miller. A great catch.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast with David and Ian. David, what's going on, brother?
It's still, every time you do that, I laugh.
I love it, man. Get it right. Get the mind right. Get the vibes right off the bat, dude. What's going on since the last time we spoke?
Just another work week. Like I said, trying to finish up the year. Christmas is right around the corner. That came out of nowhere. Yeah. I swear it was just hot as shit the other day, and now it's getting cold and preparing for all the family stuff, and it's never ending.
That's right, dude. I got to get my my act together with the Christmas gifts, dude. So I think I'm going to try to take care of some of that later. We'll see.
It's weird. The older I get, and like even if I have money in my pocket, don't have money in my pocket, it's not as like important to me. When I was younger, I wanted to make sure I got everyone everything, and like look how much money I spent on you and stuff. And now it's like I give you a hug, or like I don't need anything.
Yeah. I'm dying for underwear and socks.
Yeah, it's weird. When you're a kid, you don't want any of that. And now it's like I could use some good underwear, and my socks have holes in them.
Yeah, dude. Both of mine, big toes, had holes in them this morning, bro. So, two things that we were going to cover today had to do with culture and coaching. So there was a tweet about like what do players want in a coach. Listed 8 things, probably just run through them, see if we agree, disagree, like what we would add in from our experience, what we've kind of seen and experienced over our careers. But first and foremost, dude, I guess the culture, the topic of culture is pretty big. So we've been having some college coaches on, and we have, 5 more that we're planning on having on. And that, the majority of them talk about culture. They talk about, team unity, brotherhood. They talk about the culture in the clubhouse, the vibe in the clubhouse, how strong the bonds are with everybody. And usually you see the successful teams, or you see the teams that consistently put up competitive winning seasons, right, are strong in that area. So this has to do about that. This has to do with the New York Jets and that quarterback situation that's going on over there. So I know that you probably know a little bit more about NFL football than I do, but this is pretty much like what I was picking up from this whole situation. So I guess someone from the Jets organization leaked some hot gossip. So Zach Wilson is the backup quarterback, right? So Aaron Rodgers was the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he tore his Achilles on the third play or whatever it was. So this guy was taken over. I don't really know what the situation was after that, dude, but I guess there's reluctance now. He's getting the start this weekend, but somebody leaked that he didn't want to get hurt, right? So they had another backup in, and then they kind of released him, right? Like what is that situation there?
So Zach Wilson was a huge prospect, highly touted. He was drafted first rounder
BYU, right?
To be a franchise quarterback, to take over, right? So his first couple years in the NFL, I mean, you've seen guys that were absolute studs in college that transition to professional baseball or whatever that just it doesn't translate. And vice versa, guys that were pretty good in college and then they kind of blossom. Zach Wilson, for whatever reason, you could call it offensive line, play calling, pressure, playing in New York, he has not produced the way he should. So they brought in Aaron Rodgers, maybe one of the greatest of all time to ever do it. He gets hurt. I think probably subconsciously in Zach Wilson's mind, He's going, I'm playing behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I'm going to learn from him. I'm going to grow. I don't have to have the pressure this year. And then snap, first couple plays of the game.
Get in there.
Yeah. And I mean, your whole mindset probably changes. Like, hey, I was going to just kind of observe this year. And then, since week one, he's been getting his ass handed to him. And that team had so much hype coming into the NFL season with Rodgers and, I mean, they're wide receivers and Dalvin Cook and all these, and Breece Hall, and they just haven't performed. Robert Saleh's got to be on the hot seat, but he's a good coach. But when we talk about culture, like you said, there's obviously some frustrated people from a standpoint of losing. The culture there is not good if stuff is leaking. And Zach Wilson maybe did voice that he didn't want to play, but even if he said that, you can't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Dude, so I guess Aaron Rodgers was speaking up about it in the articles that we were reading. So Aaron Rodgers spoke up, said these leaks, right? I guess this information came from within the clubhouse or within the organization. These leaks like this aren't winning culture, and it's happened before. So I guess some sort of leaks came out, some gossip, some drama. And obviously that's not good for the team. That's not good for the whole vibe or the culture in the clubhouse, right? Keeping that tight brotherhood super tight. So Rodgers then said some convos should be private and never leave the building, right? So like that culture idea, the locker room should be a safe haven. So we've experienced that throughout pretty much the entirety of our career where it's like you can go through something or you can experience something. There could be a talk or a speech or a problem's addressed. We've had players have to make speeches or address an issue in the clubhouse where it's like it's closed door, no media, right? I'm thinking about like players that are caught for steroids or something like that beforehand. So they get notified before that they failed a drug test, and you have 50 games to appeal it, and then we're going to announce it, and then that's where you're suspend. Like that's when we're going to start your suspension, right? So the players have 50 games where it's like, oh shit, and they'll address the team. They do it behind closed doors. I've had that in the minor leagues. I've had that in the big leagues. I've seen it. It's crazy. But like, the gist of that, that stays in there.
Yeah, no one's jumping on Twitter during that speech and saying like, "Hey, so and so just got popped." Wanted to be the first to tell you.
Yeah. The confidentiality of it in the clubhouse, right? What's kind of said in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse, and then when it is addressed later down the road, right, that the team kind of knows how to respond, how to handle it. It's not all like pointing fingers like that guy is wrong or like he's afraid to play, and then these guys are pointing fingers back and forth. Aaron Rodgers is home, right? So he's not even playing, and now he's kind of defending this guy. Obviously, he's showing up to the games and stuff, but
well, that's what I was going to say. Like, just to be devil's advocate here, I respect what Aaron Rodgers is doing. Veteran, stepping up, trying to help out a young quarterback. And I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know what was said. I don't know if something was taken out of context. But just to say, what if that was said? What if Zach Wilson was walking around the locker room saying, I don't want to play for this team. I don't want to get hurt. Like, I'm looking to go somewhere else, whatever. And then that guy is your quarterback and is supposed to be a leader of the entire team.
Yeah.
Not playing well, not having a good attitude. And then someone goes, you know what? Screw this. Like, coaches aren't handling it. Front office isn't handling it. I'm going to leak this or whatever.
Yeah.
And at least get some type of bad press out there because I'm done putting up with that shit.
Yeah. But is that like
that could happen? I don't know.
That's bad on so in that instance, dude, I get it. That's 100% that maybe that's what's happening. So I guess he was supposed to speak today, like Wednesday. Today is when the quarterbacks address the media. But if that was the case, like that's bad on the coaching staff and the front office, right? For not squashing it, or like addressing it, or like bringing the team in the locker room and, addressing the issue. So like dude, what happens if you lose the locker room? Not even just in like sports, but, in like business or, whatever it is. Dude, once you lose respect of the locker room, whoever the leader is, the head coach, the CEO, whatever, as soon as they lose respect of the locker room, I mean, nothing good comes out of that, right? It's tough to play for somebody all out and give your all when you got some shit like this kind of
Yeah.
floating.
And it could be one thing. It could be something quick. It could be something little, but you could lose that respect or that confidence. I've had coaches that I've had that with, and I've had bosses in my real career now that something happened and then moving forward, you're like, I don't, dude, like you're done to me.
Yeah.
It could be quick. And if this situation, if the leaders that may be aren't handling it, or I mean, we live in a different world now where social media is king and everyone has a little computer in their pocket at all time, but they got to squash that quickly. I mean, this could get out of hand, and who knows? Like this week they play the Texans, right?
Yeah.
And
1 o'clock.
What if he's getting his ass kicked again? He's just like, I'm done. That's
I'll be
solidified.
watching.
Yeah.
I'll be watching. So Aaron Rodgers said that Zach has every reason to be frustrated. Says this isn't stuff that winning teams do. The leaks, the drama that's kind of happening, like everything kind of stays in the clubhouse, and he's saying, this isn't what a winning organization does. Obviously, like the Jets wanted to kind of turn it around, and obviously that's not how it worked out with Aaron Rodgers, but that kind of looks like bad for the culture, bad for the vibe of the clubhouse, bad for the vibe of the team. So he's getting to start this weekend. Do you think like this kind of comes from a lack of respect, right? Losing the clubhouse like this, maybe everybody's pointing fingers. Everybody's fucking frustrated that they're losing. That they're 4-8 or whatever it is. It's not going the way they want. Like, is all this kind of coming out of lack of respect?
Yeah, I mean, how many times have earlier in your adolescence where you were mad about something with school or you struck out or family home situation and you're so mad or fed up that you say things you maybe don't mean.
Yeah.
Or you're not ready to deal with the ramifications that can come from those actions or those words. So you got to remember, like, dude, I'm 33 now, I'll be 34 in May, and Zach Wilson's like 25 years old. Like, I don't know his exact age, but some of these guys that you watch that are like these big time superstars are in their 20s, like early 20s, 22, 23 years old. And then you got to think they have that much money in their pocket, that much spotlight. They're playing an emotional game. They have the media on them all the time. And it could be one mistake. And that's what, I mean, these guys have training, social media training. You remember that from spring training and stuff.
Yeah.
Guys would come down and talk to us and try to get us ready for, the limelight, but your emotions, you're still a human being. And there's a lack of respect or anger or whatever, but like you don't hear this stuff going on in Bill Belichick's locker room.
Nah, dude.
The Patriots. What? He'd be like, "You're gone."
Dude, so I mean, that's poor coaching, right? I mean, does that come is that what it comes down to? We're going to touch on coaching here in a little bit where it's like, what do players want in a coach? Right? We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but obviously like the leadership aspect's huge. So is that poor coaching?
It could be poor coaching. It could be I guarantee there's 2, 3, 4 captains on the football team there, or leaders of the locker room, and that needs to be. I'm sure it has been, but it needs to be handled internally. There's probably some linebacker out there that got in whoever's face that leaked this and been like, I mean, because as me as a player, if I had teammates that I didn't enjoy, but they were still my teammates, and if I saw some bullshit going on, I had no problem. Like that was such a passion of mine. It will always be my number one passion. But if someone's going to get in the way of me achieving my dreams, I wanted to handle it internally.
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever frustrated enough I didn't have any Twitter or anything, but
no, I get it.
Yeah. I'd rather handle it, myself. And there was guys I played with that were such good leaders like that it never did get out. Coaches didn't need to know about some of that stuff sometimes.
For sure. Dude, I'm thinking back to coming up through the minor leagues, being in pro ball, a couple different organizations. Like when big stuff happened, even off the field, that had to, that was pertaining to baseball players or the organization, right? Like the direct representation of the organization, that shit got nipped in the bud quick, or they addressed it. If the whole team had to be addressed, the whole team had to be addressed, or like the individuals would be addressed, and it wouldn't get out. And they would handle it privately. They would keep keep matters kind of private, and I respect the value of that. So I'm interested to see kind of what happened, how it transpired, and like how Zach Wilson performs this weekend. Hopefully he's loose.
I mean, sounds silly, but I want Zach Wilson to. I don't think Zach Wilson necessarily knows who he is. Like, if you're in the NFL, you're an amazing athlete. You're a stud, so it's hard for me to judge from my couch.
Yeah.
I want people to realize that. Like, if someone goes, "Oh man, I used to throw hard or whatever," and I threw harder than this guy, whatever. That dude's in the Major League Baseball, 60 innings in. Like, stop talking. To an extent. But with Zach Wilson, I want him to play like Zach Wilson, not Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you've watched some games recently, but since Rodgers came over, he's like doing these like back foot tosses, and you see Jordan Love with the Packers doing the same thing, and they look like miniature Aaron Rodgers out there trying to do stuff that maybe it's like someone impersonating MJ doing, sticking the tongue out or doing some kind of crazy layup and stuff. Like, it's awesome, but play your own game.
It's not your game. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's only one Aaron Rodgers, and I think Zach Wilson's been trying to almost fill those shoes, but it was his team to begin with. So I don't know.
It's a weird love triangle, bro. So there's this tweet. There's a tweet that we were reading, and it looked like a pretty solid topic to hit on, dude. So, I mean, this kind of ties into it as well, right? We're talking about leadership. We're talking about taking control of the locker room, taking control of your organization, your company, whatever it is. But owning the respect of your peers in that locker room, if you are, a manager or a head coach or, a leader individual. So what the players want in a coach, and they listed 8, things in order, obviously, of importance. And so number 1, man, so a coach that cares, right? So, think about through the entirety of your career, the coaches that you have played for the best, or the seasons that you've had the best, the seasons that have been most fun for you, man, were you with a coach that really cared about you? It made you feel like, you're a solid player. He wanted you there, right? I'm sure that was probably the case.
Yeah. I've had both. I've had coaches that I think would, bleed for his players. And I've had coaches that, especially maybe in minor league baseball, that are trying to get to the next level, just like we are.
Yeah, dude.
And you can kind of see that a little bit, and they'd go put their arm around like prospects and stuff, and be like, "Oh man, let me fix this guy because there's money invested in him." But the guys that I really resonated with were the guys that, as cliche as it is, they walked it like they talked it. Good, bad, and different. Like, their message was exactly the same. They weren't like constantly changing their like ideologies or like what they wanted out of a team, or they stuck to what they believed in. They preached it, and it really, you could feel it.
Yeah, dude. 100%.
But the coaches that I had that were bad, I was just like, "What are you talking about? Last week you said this." Like,
yeah. Now you're going back on it.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
So, I love it, dude. I like managers that I've formed those relationships with, or managers that have really cared, head coaches that have really cared. I still stay in contact with them. So I'll just run through these top 8, and then, ask what you think is the most important, stands out to you, dude. And then, like, I have my own separate kind of take on it, dude. So I'll throw that in there. But what the players want in a coach that cares, a coach that makes it fun, a coach that is honest, who is competitive, has a passion for their sport, who brings humor, who is a teacher of the game, who builds relationships, right? So obviously that it sounds like, it's somebody that, in my opinion, this is what I have written down. Like, what do I want in a coach, right? I want somebody that I can like be inspired by, or aspire to be like, or look up to, or, I want to try to emulate what they have going on, their success. I want to like take in their qualities or their traits, right? I want to be around them. I want to like, I feel like I'm elevated when I'm around them. Whether it's their knowledge or their expertise or their, personal experience or their personality, right? Whatever it is, their charisma, like it's, a good coach or a good teacher of the game or whatever it is can really like make or break the experience, especially for a kid. A
Yeah.
kid in high school or middle school, whatever it is, can really make it like come out. So I'm thinking about that. Like my high school coach was a businessman and retired early, and dude was just running marathons and just running to practice like 30 miles away, just showing up to practice, and like just that was his day.
Jeez.
Like, dude, that was I aspired to be like him. Still do, right? Like a good family man, good dude, good coach. Like I feel like that's where I was always able to get the most out of it, right? So all these traits, right? Honest, somebody that gives it to you like it is, somebody who wants to win, but somebody that also kind of like practices what they preach, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm a very specific type of person. So I'm a homebody and I am latched on to, my wife and my kid. So it's like if I'm trying to look up to somebody and try to emulate somebody, look up, play up to who they are and try to, be like them. If they don't share the same traits as me, right? If they're maybe, if they don't see the world the same way that I do, it's like, maybe I don't get along with them the best. Like I've had coaches that lived different lives than the type of life that I was living, right? And it's tough being out on the road, right? So it's tough potentially being married and being faithful at all times, right? So that's something that was like, it's something that is important to me, right? So when I see that in somebody, if I'm, that's my
The opposite.
coach,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's like, dude, I don't have the respect. You know what I mean? Like it's kind
Yeah.
of like that. It's crazy how that works, but I'm looking for somebody that I can, aspire to be like or be inspired by, right? I'm going to elevate my game or my overall everything when I'm around these people, dude. That's my take on it, dude. What do you
Yeah.
got? So
I
what
think
stands out to you?
that's really good. I think so. Like these 8 kind of bullet points here from what you want to coach. I think those are all great. I think you could have 100 something, but
Yeah.
I will simplify this. A good coach to me is someone that I want to make proud. Like if I go out there and do a good job, or if I go work hard in the weight room, if I go whatever, I want to make a coach that I can, who I'm respecting, who is living a lifestyle or is a father figure kind of that I look up to or aspire to be, like you just hit on there. If he makes it fun, if I can tell he cares, if he's competitive, I think honesty is huge. Like if I'm sucking, I need someone to be honest with me or what can elevate me to the next level. But the really good coaches I've had, I wanted to make them proud and I cared about their opinion. The bad coaches I've had, I couldn't have cared less
Mm,
if I did good, bad, or indifferent. I was like, dude, like I was coachable, I was respectful at all times. But if a guy was like, great job, great way to work today, Holman, and I was like, you don't give a shit about me. Like,
yeah.
oh, like you're an awful person. Like what you do on the side, whatever. But the coaches that really stick out in my mind right now, like to this day, if I saw them, I'd hope that they're proud of the man I have become.
For sure, dude. That's I think that's huge. I think that's important. So I don't know what's obviously we've all had different experiences. I don't know what's kind of going on with the Jets over there, dude, but it would be, it's hard for me to imagine like my favorite coaches are the coaches that have kind of like shown these traits that we just talked about, right? Um Cares, passion, teacher, relationships, relationship builder. Like it would be tough for me to envision a problem like this kind of happening under the tutelage of one of these coaches that I've had. So I don't know necessarily what happened, like we said, dude, but it would be interesting to see kind of what transpires.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it would translate to NFL or MLB, but my best coach I've ever had in my life was a junior college coach, and I think things
It's
happen.
big.
Like I also didn't really know any better. 18, 19-year-old kid. You have a dream. You have a passion, and we ran till we puked. I mean, seriously, we'd be puking while running, and if we stopped, we had to run more. Like if we stopped to puke, it was I worked harder than any time in my life. Those 2 years of junior college. But to this day, I mean, I seriously would take a bullet for that guy. Maybe like a graze on the
Yeah,
rib
the
or
meat.
something, or in the
Yeah,
meat.
yeah,
But I would take a bullet. I
thigh.
haven't seen him in 15 years or something. Um, but the and the lower levels like rookie ball, Shout out to Rich Dorman. He's a pitching coach with the Mariners.
Oregon State.
Yeah, he went to. I think he went to.
I think
a smaller
he's at
school.
Oregon State now.
Is he now?
So he went. So Dora went to Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon.
Yes, that's where he went right after he left the Mariners.
So he is now at Oregon State with Mitch Canham
and
Joey Wong. I played with Joey Wong in Double-A, dude. I took like a yeah.
Joey Wong, that's a big time player.
Yeah.
Cardinals?
Dude. No. You're thinking of the wrong Wong.
No, Joey Wong.
Joey
Wong was the shortstop for the Oregon State when they won the World Series or went to the World Series.
Yeah, dude. So I played with him in Double-A with the Mariners, Arkansas Travelers, dude. So they're doing big things.
Pat Casey is still the head coach of Oregon State. I don't know that, but
I think he is in the front office. I could be totally making that up, dude. I think he's like an assistant athletic director. Or he's like a special advisor to the athletic director.
He was the coach.
Why I know that, dude?
Talking to him because I almost went there at junior college, and then it didn't work out. But anyways, Rich Dorman, he was my rookie ball coach, Seattle Mariners. You know, he wasn't that far removed from the game. I was a free agent signed, didn't have a bunch of money in me. He played. My uncle was his pitching coach when he was in the minor leagues. Dorman took me aside. He would do drills with me before practices. Like, no one really knows how rookie ball works, but Arizona League, it's like, I mean, it's brutal. You're practicing for 4 hours and then going and playing a game. And he didn't necessarily need to help me, but I learned more from him in that first year and really took off. And he held like mental shop work classes with us. He would bring us all in, 20 pitchers on a rookie ball roster, and he had a whiteboard, and like he was still so hungry for the game, and I could tell everything that like came from his mouth was like true. And he was competitive, but he wanted the best for all of us. If you called him at midnight and said, "Hey, like I'm just struggling, can you talk?" He would talk to you for 2 hours. He'd go out in the living room. You know, like I don't think every coach needs to be like that, but some players need you to.
Yeah.
So shout out to
100%.
Rich Dorman. I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, but he was big time.
I'll send it to him.
Yeah. He helped me out a lot, dude. He'd get me on the foul line and do these staying in line drills, and my velocity started going up and made a team next year, then went to low A and then got called up and kept going and going and going. And I mean, the Mariners didn't owe me anything. I had to work for it, but he was one of those guys that kind of started my path.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy how good coaching can elevate just every facet of the game and just bring the most out of you. I don't know. Imagine if you didn't.
Oh
yeah. Whoa.
Whoa. That's number one on that thing. A coach that cares, because especially in pro ball, dude. Maybe a guy's not as talented right now, but how many guys have you played with that you're like, that guy sucked 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And then they developed and they work hard and they find their little niche. And as a coach, you got to be like, yeah, there's guys that are ahead of other guys, but how can you allot your time correctly to maybe get that diamond in the rough out? It's a special skill set.
I like that, man. I love that. So that's all I had, man. Got anything else?
Who's this guy? Who's this picture at the end of the email here?
I think that's the guy that sent the tweet out about what the players want. I saw that guy at the bottom of the page, man. Ooh, yeah.
That works.
Good stuff, though, man. Thanks for the tweet, though, man. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. This was a good quickie. We look forward to seeing you guys again soon. And David, thank you for being here, brother. Oh.